Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Hello, people, and welcome to Footy Judgmo. I know Manchester City have drawn a game, which makes the game tomorrow for Chelsea important for them to get maybe top four. Nottingham Forest won, so now they're closing on Arsenal. They're 1 point behind Arsenal in second, which is something that is very, very important. But I think the most important game tomorrow is the Newcastle versus Liverpool Cup final. No Lewis Hall, no Anthony Gordon, but Isak is fit. Liverpool, of course, are there with full force, trying to compensate for the loss at Anfield that they had in the Champions League, of course, versus PSG. Because Liverpool want to win the double. They want to win the double, of course. I'm not sure when the last time they did, but Newcastle, the last time Newcastle actually won a trophy was the Intercity Fairs Cup in the 70s, if I'm not mistaken. That is the actually last trophy they won. Before that, the last trophy they've won in England was in the 50s, 60s, if I'm not mistaken. Something like this. So Newcastle want to taste that silverware with this generation. We'll talk about these games as well. Arsenal versus Chelsea, big game. Of course, we have Dio here. We have Ahmed, the bridge with the mustache, of course. Brilliant. Sometimes the mustache comes in, sometimes the mustache goes. Ahmed, did you eat?
This mustache is criminal. This mustache is criminal, man.
Did you eat?
Not yet. 4 or 5 minutes have been left.
Not yet. And we got Rack, of course, for Liverpool. And we got Philip here, repping Newcastle, of course.
Hey, listen, we've all got mustaches on the stream. This is a mustache plus beard stream.
Holy shit, yeah.
He's
actually strange. You know, we all got some facial hair.
It's big man stream. Big man stream. No baby face stream.
No. Let's yeah. Hit that like
then the ranking. If you've got grey hairs in your moustache, then the ranking goes even higher.
Yeah,
that's why Mo's in the middle, because he has.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not that old this guy.
It's not about old.
Let's establish something, right?
Let me
I'm letting you know, Dio. Broski, you, Rack, and Philip probably are older than me.
I know you're not the oldest. In my tribe, we say something where I come from.
Like, you're in the middle.
If you have gray hair when you're young, it means that money is coming.
Hey,
like where I'm from, like if you have gray hair when you're young, they say you're going to be rich. Like, oh, it's so that might just be it for you, you know?
Maybe.
I don't know.
Okay. Mo's blushing. He's blushing.
Actually, to be honest with you, I just had iftar, and my brain is functioning at 50% at the current moment. Literally, I just had iftar, so my brain is not functioning very, very well at the current moment. I don't know which game we start here with, to be honest with you. And now, I'm gonna let the people. I put a poll in.
Let's start
Guys,
let's start with the weaker game. Arsenal Chelsea is the weaker one for tomorrow, and that's the realistic truth about it. Arsenal and Chelsea are fighting for top 4 right now. So we'll talk about. Let's leave the big boys game of a trophy.
You are fighting for top 4.
I mean, when I say Arsenal and Chelsea are fighting for top 4, like Chelsea needs to get into top 4 right now. Arsenal needs to keep up. We're 55, and we have Nottingham Forest 54 right behind us. Of course, a game in hand is nothing until the points are on the board. So for me, it's like you just need to maintain that position. Otherwise, Nottingham Forest catches you, then now you've got Chelsea contending with you, and now you've got Chelsea and maybe City contending with both you and Nottingham Forest because you're both on the same point. It doesn't make any. So yeah, the top 4 is what everybody's fighting. What we are fighting for right now. I think the Newcastle Liverpool game, we can talk about that as regards to like a trophy. So that's a big.
How important is that game actually?
Important is the Chelsea. Which one? The Chelsea Arsenal game.
The Arsenal Chelsea. Okay, the cup final is as important as a cup final. It's just,
Yeah, the cup final is important. That's silverware we're talking about there. Like if Newcastle if Newcastle wins tomorrow, which I want them to win, honestly speaking, personally, because I feel like just spread the trophy. If I'm not going to get any this season, spread it with everybody. I don't want nobody getting a double when I'm not getting anything. So let's make sure that Newcastle gets.
No, but I want to go back to the Arsenal Chelsea. Everyone is telling me this game is not important.
I don't know.
Oh, it's very important. It's very important. Look at the gap. Look at the gap for the people that touch. Let's call it top 5 now, right? Look at the gap that the teams are fighting for. That are in top 5. Everyone down to I think potentially Villa. I mean that there's a 4 or 5 point gap between Villa and Chelsea.
Yeah.
Even that might be, they're in it. So and for Chelsea, it's incredibly important because if they don't get Champions League football, like it or not, there's going to be financial repercussions.
Exactly.
You can't just keep spending.
I think obviously,
I think it's very important for Chelsea because between Chelsea, let me look at it again. Between Chelsea and Villa, yeah, you're right. Even Fulham is at 42 points. If they win their next game, they'll be 45 with Aston Villa. So between number 10 and number 4, 49 to 45. There's just 4 points, or what am I saying here? 6 points difference. There's just a 6-point difference between. That's 2 games between Chelsea right now and number 10 Fulham. It's just 2 games, so they are definitely fighting for top 4. So it's more of an important game for them. For us, for Arsenal. I think it's more like if we win, just stay maintained. We're not catching Liverpool, but just stay maintained above Nottingham Forest. So we are not in a position where if we lose this, the end of the world for us. No, it's not. It's not for Arsenal if we lose this game, right? But I don't want us to lose to Chelsea. I don't want that whole London is blue nonsense that Chelsea fans will start saying.
They've got a few tough games. They've got a few toughish games coming up. Like after this, they play Spurs. Spurs haven't been great, but they have got a few players coming back. Who knows what's going to happen there? Then they've got Brentford away. Brentford are no mugs. They're challenging for top 4, top 5 too.
Yeah.
And Chelsea's form recently hasn't been great. Not just the actual results, but the actual way they're playing. I think Chelsea fans are probably a bit worried. Ahmed, what do you reckon?
Yeah, I think for me, in terms of importance of this game, we need to get points in this game, whether it's even a draw or like a win. We have to get points on this because if you get 50 points in general, I feel like you secure yourself at least in the top 4. Obviously, Newcastle have the game in hand. They can obviously, with their win, they'll probably match us on points if we get a draw, and if they get their win, obviously with their game in hand, right? So that's another team that I'm looking for in the top 4 is. But we just need the points right now. Our last few games are very tough games. You still got Liverpool to come. Obviously, I think there's still United, Spurs. Like we got even Newcastle themselves.
Fulham away, local derby
as well. Brentford. So listen, we've got our last few games are probably the toughest out of a lot of the other teams that are remaining in that top 4 race. So every point at this stage matters to us at the end of the day. So I just think for me, against Arsenal, this is a game where you have to at minimum just get the draw. And if you get the draw, you accept the point, but you got to keep it pushing. I think from a performance standpoint as well, we've not been great performance-wise. We've obviously lost a few squad members. I think the positive, obviously, going to the Arsenal game is, You're bringing in Lavia back. You've got a Reece James that's going to be back for you starting. Wesley Fofana's a big boost defensively. You know, we've now got 3 competent guys in the defense. But McCole was a bit shaky at times in the big games. But at the very least, you've got guys there in the back line that are going to be very good for you, and a strong midfield. All it's going to come down to is the attack, really. So
can I tell you guys my opinion about why this game is so important for Chelsea? I actually think if Chelsea don't win this game or don't get a point in this game, I think it's the players are going to lose confidence completely in their ability. And if Chelsea get points in this game, I think they prove to themselves that we're up there, that all of this was a blip. We are still good. We are a team that can go back on track. That a team that maybe can, with the right signings next year, can compete. If Chelsea literally get smashed in this, especially with Arsenal not having Saka or Kai Havertz, if Chelsea lose by like 2-0 or 3-1 or something like this, I think these players are going to completely lose confidence, completely lose the confidence for the rest of the season and even next season. I think this game is so important for Chelsea. And also, on the other hand, the Arsenal team. If Chelsea go to the Emirates and get a result from this Arsenal team, I think the confidence will be shocked, in my opinion, from Arsenal. This game, this is why I think it's very important. Yes, on the points table, maybe it doesn't look as important to Arsenal. But imagine if Chelsea, having this horrific run, only beating Southampton and Leicester, coming to your ground, right, with the team that they have at the current moment, with an inexperienced manager and getting a point, or walking away, even worse, even walking away with 3 points. I think this might be something that Arsenal don't want to do.
But you have to also put into context that this is the best time for Chelsea to be able to beat Arsenal. Our front line last week was Kieran Tierney, a left back. In fact, at a point in that game, we had 5 left backs in the game. We had Zinchenko, we had Marvin, we had Calafiori.
Yeah, but that is not going to happen. That is not what's going to happen tomorrow.
That's what's going to happen more. Let me just land. I'm not saying that's what will happen.
Well, 5 left backs is crazy.
What I'm saying is our front line right now is a makeshift front line, whether you like it or not. Martinelli just got back from injury. He played a few minutes. So whatever the case may be, it might be him, Trossard here or there, Nwaneri, Ethan Nwaneri, as amazing as he's been, let's not forget he's an academy 17-year-old kid who just literally broke out this season. So he's been amazing, but if we didn't have him, we had no covers. So my point is, this is the best time for Chelsea to be able to get anything from Arsenal at the Emirates. If we had our full team and they came and they beat us, then I'll be totally.
No, I think no, but I don't think so. They still don't have. They don't have Jackson. They don't have a striker.
Again, what I'm saying is this is a better time for them to be able to get some kind of points because of where we both are as a team. Like we don't have a front line to score. Chelsea.
I mean, we don't have a front line to score either. So,
but the point,
you know what I mean? Our attack right now is zero chemistry. If you legit, that's the other way to play.
That's true.
So I'm not saying you have a front line to score. Don't get me wrong. I'm saying
I know what you mean. Yeah.
Way both teams. This is a good time that you can nip something from Arsenal. It is a good time where you can actually nick something. Is all I'm saying. You have a higher percentage of nicking something than if we had our regular first 11 team. The same way you would have had a higher percentage if you had your first 11. So, I think Chelsea is going to come and try and do the business. The Emirates, honestly, the last outside losing to United in the cup game, I think in the league we hadn't lost at the Emirates until one recent game, and it's the Emirates had been a place where I could beat my chest and say, hey, but with the way we're set up right now, anything can happen. Anything can happen. I see a draw because I don't see how we're getting the goals in as much as anything. I see a draw unless Ethan is on fire tomorrow. Unless Trossard is on his A game like he is sometimes. He's off and on. And if he's on his A game and Odegaard is on his A game, then maybe we get something. But Chelsea has a chance to get like a draw tomorrow.
Philip, how do you see the game going?
Yeah, I think can you guys hear me?
Yeah, but your mic is loud.
Oh, is it? Sorry, guys. Sorry. I think, both teams obviously got missing their front line, so they kind of cancel each other out in terms of who's missing who. I think Arsenal will be more in control. They've got a better defense, better midfield, and Chelsea don't. Ordinarily, you would say, well, if you're Chelsea, let Arsenal have the ball, and we'll try and hit them on the break and isolate them. The problem for Chelsea is that they don't have Jackson, they don't have more pacier wingers. I've concluded that Jadon Sancho.
They have Neto.
Oh, so that's what I'm going to lead to. So they have Sancho, but Neto will probably be playing a false 9 with Palmer behind him. So Neto will drift out right. He makes it very easy to mark or to look. They've only got the one player. Jadon Sancho, I've concluded, is not suitable for the Premier League. And they won't
concluded that already.
Yeah, we've concluded that already. I think. I like to give players. I ordinarily give players 2 years, but obviously he's been here now 2 years, and I just thought, okay, let me see what happens, and it's very clear that he's just not equipped for the Premier League. So there's no way for Chelsea to either be. They will be offensive, but they won't, in terms of like, they will be attacking, but they won't be able to break down Arsenal's block. And even if they give Arsenal the ball and try to hit them on the attack, they don't have the ability to break them down. I saw that against when they played Brighton, and they just, the chemistry between Nkunku and Palmer and the shoulder shrug and everything else was, I just see Arsenal, I do see Arsenal breaking them down. I think even if Chelsea try to defend on the back foot, the likes of Colwill, the likes of, who's next to Colwill now? I forgot his
Fofana
or Carabao. It depends who plays on the right back area. They're not really built for that. They're not built to be kind of be. You don't feel there's good. Oh, I've never heard anyone call the Chelsea backline the blue wall. We don't look at them like that. So I think a little bit more different to Dyer. I think it's probably Arsenal's game to lose rather than Chelsea's, in my opinion. So I think Arsenal are more favourites than Chelsea.
Do we rate? Okay, guys, big up everybody that joined from the Football Terrace. Guys, on your way in, like the video. Over about 350 people here, or 400 people now. Hit that like button, people, if you're here. Let's get to 200 likes, guys. Hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel. Of course, if you're new here and it's the first time on the channel, this is Footy Judge Mo. We're discussing Arsenal, Chelsea. We'll discuss Liverpool, Newcastle in a bit. Are we rating the Chelsea team lower than the Arsenal team? Especially the midfield?
I mean, if you're going by performance this season so far, yes, I would definitely rate my midfield better than Chelsea right now. And again, we're playing at the Emirates, so for this particular game, we've played better at the Emirates as an Arsenal team, even without our front line, and even when we were looking like crap, we played better at the Emirates than we have on the road. So yeah, currently speaking, now if you're talking about talent, there's a difference. We can say, oh, they have talented players, but they're not clicking. Chelsea is not clicking right now. You've got the Lavia, you've got all these guys in that midfield who I rate as a player, but you know, if you're not there to perform, you're not clicking, then you're not clicking. You know, the Arsenal midfield right now I think is a better midfield currently right now.
It's better. I can't think of an area of the field where Chelsea are better. And I know what you're saying about clicking, but I don't think since this Chelsea project has started, when have they ever clicked? I mean, they are talented individuals, and I think Lavia is arguably the gel in that midfield that might take them to the next level if he can get consistent game time. But Dyer, I don't see them having a better goalkeeper. I don't see him having a better defender. I don't see him having a better midfield overall, and I don't think they're better in attack.
You don't think that Caicedo and Declan Rice? No, for you?
No, I mean, look, people can argue that Caicedo's had a better season. Yeah, okay, I'll hear that, but that's individuals. If we're talking about blocks, areas of the pitch, I don't think Chelsea have a better attack. I think their midfield has been up and down, whereas Arsenal's midfield, I think, has been pretty proven. Defensively, they're not as good, and goalkeeper, they're not as good.
What? Okay, for me, to be honest with you, if I'm taking a midfield overall, Rice, Partey, Odegaard, or Palmer, Enzo Fernandez, and Caicedo.
But Palmer plays more as part of the front, as the.
It's a forward player.
He's a forward player. And this is where
I see what you're coming from. Like these guys have more. Like they've more like the challenge last season. They're now ahead of Chelsea.
They're more proven. They're more battle
Yeah,
hardened.
I see your point. Even Odegaard Odegaard had a very, very good season 2 seasons ago. Had a magnificent second half of last season. Yeah, this season he has fallen off. We have slagged him off a little bit. Cole Palmer had an amazing.
The last few games they've been more consistent as well. And that's another thing. You also need to look at the fact that this Arsenal team, without its front line, even though we missed Odegaard for 3 months.
Also, we cannot. Yeah. Also, we cannot talk about Lavia because he's a ghost. He hasn't.
Yeah. So my thing is like, if you're
seriously,
talking about
Lavia has not played 5 consecutive games for Chelsea. This is 2 years. It's ridiculous, actually. Ahmed, may Allah
It might
taqabbal your
change.
siyam,
Look,
inshallah.
Chelsea have recruited a lot.
I mean, thank you.
Chelsea
just
have
broke his
recruited a lot
fast,
of
so
talented
guys,
players.
That's why he's smiling
They
now.
have
It's like
recruited a lot.
he's still happy now. It's good to see him.
Yeah, also, Ahmed is here now. Ahmed is great here.
I heard you were just talking about the midfield. I would probably say this season, I think our midfield probably has been the strongest it's ever been. Like in terms of, I think the Caicedo-Enzo dynamic has been probably the most consistent in my eyes. And then I think with the inverting of like maybe one it's a Cucurella or one it's a Reece James, depending on who's available, obviously. I think our midfield is probably quite consistent and quite solid. You know, obviously Caicedo's had his best season at Chelsea this season. I think there's no one that can there's been probably one of the best midfielders in the league this season.
Caicedo.
Talk about him specifically, obviously, right now.
Can I say something very controversial, actually? You know, I watch every Chelsea game, right?
I know you watch them.
You
told me.
You know, I watch every game, right? Like,
yes.
I'm going to say something very controversial, actually, to be honest with you guys. Even though I think Caicedo has more to his game than Declan Rice, than a lot of people, I think he is, on paper, is supposed to be the best defensive midfielder in the league. On paper, by the way. And I said that many times, if there is a player that will, for example, if you remove Rodri, on paper, Caicedo is supposed to be the next thing because he's good on the ball. He can tackle. He can cover a lot of ground. I actually don't think he has been as good as the Chelsea fans have been trying so hard to convince us throughout the whole season that Caicedo has been amazing like that.
But
I think
no, I don't. I think
you get my point. Like every time I speak to a Chelsea fan, he's like, "No, Caicedo has been one of the best midfielders in the league," and I'm like, actually, that is not very true because Gravenberch has been superior to him. I think Bruno Guimaraes has been superior to him, in my opinion. I actually gonna say when Thomas Partey plays as a DM, he has been good. Caicedo, and it's not his problem. The problem is the team. Enzo Fernandez can defend. You know, we all know that. He's not a defender. Cole Palmer doesn't defend. And the wingers don't defend as much. So basically, Caicedo's left on an island by himself. And that is why after every game, we keep saying, especially in the last 15 games, Chelsea is so suspect in transition. Opposition have a lot of spaces in transition. That is a defensive midfielder's job, right? To stop the transition from the opposition. And Chelsea has not been able to do that. I do think that he has been great, like as you guys make him be.
I think here's the thing, though. I think here's the thing. I think here's the thing. I think Caicedo, after his first season at Brighton, everybody saw how good he could become. And at Chelsea, with all the ups and downs they've had, he's been one of their more consistent players this season. And because of that consistency, we can put him up there and say he's one of and I can say this because I think he's one of the best DMs in the league. I'm not saying he is top. He's one of them. The issue that he has right now is where the club is at with Maresca and how balanced the team is and who they put there with him. The difference with someone like Declan Rice, for example, is there's been more consistency with the people he's played with over the last couple of seasons. Caicedo has not had that consistency right now. At the beginning of the season, I remember when you guys were complaining about Enzo and Caicedo not blending. It wasn't balanced. It wasn't balanced. Now I think
that was a last season thing, though.
I said, but now I'm saying like they figured themselves out. I'm saying like it's now working out, and you're beginning to even see a better Caicedo. Is he the best DM in the league right now? I don't think so. I think he's up there.
I think for me, I don't really like to do this best in the league and stuff like that. At the end of the day, is he doing the job that I need him to do at the club on a consistent basis? That's what I look at. And for me, he has been doing that. He's been our most defensive guy, partially because of the way we play. And listen, from a statistical standpoint, he's been doing what he needs to do. When I watch him, he does the job that he needs to do. That's all I care about. You know, without him, generally speaking, we would be very cooked in the transition, as bad as already people think we are as of right now, right? So I think he's been, and in my eyes, I actually think he's been even a bit more limited. Like I would prefer him to be maybe even a box-to-box in my eyes, but because of how injury-prone Lavia has been for us and the limited games he's played for us, he hasn't really allowed us to unlock that part of Caicedo, which is even his passing, which is something that we have missed. We've seen glimpses of the season, but not as much over the end of the day. So
I'll say Caicedo, and to a wider point in terms of how people assess players and teams overall. And Mo explained it well at the beginning in terms of on paper, and it depends on people including their criteria. Because I remember at the beginning of the season, people really saying, I couldn't believe it, really kind of comparing Chelsea and Liverpool squad. Why I wouldn't compare them is if you look at Liverpool's squad, the experience, with more consistency throughout time, it is overwhelming. And you can't just say just because someone's called Caicedo and they look great on the ball, or Jadon Sancho, they look good on the ball, or it's like the next season hype, that people just started saying, we've got better depth, we've got better this. Well, now we can all see what depth looks like. And it's not just about the number of players, or yes, they are talents, undoubtedly they're talents on their day, but you got to be able to see people consistently over time to see how good they are. And if you look at, again, Liverpool's squad, these are players. Van Dijk's been there, 7, 8 years, and then it gets lower in 6, 5 years. You've got then academy players coming through. Conor Bradley's in his second year. Curtis Jones and all the other guys. And if you say nowadays, so I think I would have Curtis Jones over, for instance, Enzo Fernandez in my midfield, and you get laughed at for that. But I feel like Curtis Jones has a consistency over Enzo Fernandez, especially in the Premier League, over Enzo Fernandez. So it depends on how people look at teams and look at people, look at squads. So I'm not overly surprised at this.
Because Phil is right. I think you can look at talent, and then you can also look at consistency and longevity. How long have they been doing this? Like, now, the reason I rate Caicedo, I'll say this again, is he did it at Brighton, and even with how unbalanced Chelsea is, he's doing it at Chelsea. Like, you can see the work rate that he brings to Chelsea and how Chelsea would be cooked if they didn't have him. That's the truth. If they didn't have Caicedo in that midfield, the Chelsea midfield would be run down this season. Let's call a spade a spade.
100%. Yeah. No one disagreed with this. I don't think people. Sorry. I think my point went over people's heads. To be honest, just people don't understand what I said at all. People in the chat just hear that I'm saying something about Caicedo, and they get like, "Oh my God, how do you talk about my player? He's the best DM in the league. He's worth 100 million. We got our money's worth." By the way, it goes the same for everything, every fan base. When people hear me talk about Barella or talk about Hakan Çalhanoğlu or talk about Lautaro for my team, when I do Inter content on Inter Worldwide or Uncle Sharma, same exact shit. People do the same for Arsenal when we talk about Declan Rice. Havertz, Saka. Sorry. People do exactly the same shit, by the way. It has been the same thing. When you talk about people's teams, even Philip has done it when I spoke about Bruno Guimaraes. Sometimes people jump. Right? I do the same when people talk about the players.
I just want to say when it
but
comes
I was right though, Mo. Just want to say I was right about Bruno. Just point it out there. I was right.
When it comes to Caicedo, for you to know how good this kid is, Liverpool wanted him, Arsenal wanted him at the time.
He needs a better midfield to know how good he is.
I
get what Mo is saying. I think we haven't.
Listen, to see his full potential.
You haven't seen his full potential at all.
No, let me finish now. To see his full potential, you need a better midfield with him. But what I'm saying
is, I'm
saying that we already can identify how good. Two things can be true. We can identify how good he is already, and knowing that with a better midfield, he will literally smash this league to bits. Right, he will be competing at the top of the top. The fact that he's keeping that Chelsea midfield locked in without good midfielders tells you how good he is so far. Now, add in the right midfielders with him, and Caicedo will be killing it, is what I'm saying. When you have a player that is that good and can hold a team together, right, regardless of what's going on in that team, a player like that is, even when the team is down or when they lose a game, his own game stands out. He's the one guy you can say, you know what, he did his own job. You know,
the problem is, no matter how talented Caicedo is, unless you put pieces around him, he can't be a one-man team alone.
Yeah,
and this is the problem. This is the problem I think with Chelsea's recruitment. They recruit a lot of talented young players, but
the problem. You know what, Rack? Yeah, I have to. So the thing is, Rack, I think the problem more so is that we got one guy in Lavia that we were expecting, I think, a bit more to be consistent and to be next to him. And you saw for the early part of the season, he was actually a bit more consistent health-wise. They were together. They were very much defensively solid. We were actually doing a good job there. He obviously became injured. I think where the club went wrong was that then we let two of our other youngster midfielders who were actually very talented, had some level of good experience, I'd probably say, in Santos, who went to Strasbourg, and then Ugo Chukwu went to Southampton. and then we didn't basically replace them, if that makes sense, right? We didn't even keep them in my eyes, and that was part of. I think that played a big problem as well in my eyes too. But
what I think is the recruitment model that Chelsea are employing, where they're recruiting a lot of talented young players. The problem is with young players, the vast majority of them won't be good enough for a top level team because development's not linear. Most of them will fall by the wayside. When we won the Carabao Cup last season, I said on the day of the final, just after we won, the reason why I'm really happy for a lot of these young kids is because this is probably going to be the only trophy they win in their careers. Most of these young kids are not going to make it at Liverpool, right? I think you need to, yes, bringing in talented young players is important for from a longevity perspective. But you also, like Philip was saying, you can't discount the structure and the knowledge and the know-how that talented older players, experienced players will give you. Yeah, you need to have that balance.
You need to have balance. I know what you mean.
I think the issue is Chelsea's recruitment. Look, what they're trying to do. I'm pretty sure I know what they're trying to do. They're trying to buy a lot of these young players. The ones that develop into world class players, they'll keep, and the ones they don't, they're going to try and sell on for a profit or break even or whatever. That's a very high risk strategy because there's no guarantees.
They've turned into a farm. They basically turned into a farm. It's like farm.
And the problem is when you're in a situation where Chelsea is, maybe don't get top four. They've then got to balance the books a little bit, and then you've also got the disgruntlement that you've got with Palmer and some of these talented players. It's like, hey, we're supposed to be here. I signed for record fees. I was sold this project, and actually, when we're down in the Europa League for the third season in succession. This can't go on forever because when Arsenal have been in this situation before, when they spent a long time out of Champions, when Liverpool, some of our big players, there was noises that big players want to leave, right? But people are already talking about if Saka doesn't win something soon, he's going to want to leave, or so and so is going to want to leave. Saliba's going to you have to. The only way to keep these top players happy is to be progressing every season and eventually winning. And I think there's a question.
But what I would say, I think I'm in agreement with what you're saying. But I think, for example, with Palmer, for example, I don't think he's helped himself if he was to leave the season with his own play, right? For example, and there's obviously the secondary thing of
but he's not going to look at it that way. He's going to look at all these other teams want me.
But then the secondary thing I would say is then you're also on a death row contract unless a team is giving you 120 million for you. Because of the contract you're on, you know what I mean? Then you're not going anywhere either, which is, I know that's a bit of a crazy contract to be giving players. Let's not get it twisted, but
I don't understand this notion. Like, I want to ask you a strict question, Ahmed, about this, and I want to go back to the game. And by the way, everyone in the chat, I'm going to do the super chat just right after this question, but simple question about this. You guys think if Chelsea don't make Champions League and a team like a Bayern Munich or a Barcelona or a Real Madrid or someone come in with 80 million or 90 million for Cole Palmer, forget if Chelsea are going to accept it or not. You guys don't think that Cole Palmer's head might turn and him is going to say, well, and by the way, to add to this, and Chelsea in the summer, and Ahmed, you spoke about this before, Chelsea in the summer keeps signing at 20 years old, at 21 years old, and Cole Palmer doesn't see the recruitment change. You guys think that Cole Palmer might say, hold on, yes, I signed a 9-year contract, but there's a lot of money on the table for you. I want to go for a team that is ready to win today because I believe I have a level in me that it should be playing Champions League football at the highest level. And you promised me a project and you're going in a different direction. Don't you think that he's going to force his way out?
The problem with that comment, Mo, is that, okay, let's say he's Elliot's son and everything you're saying is correct, right? The club is then going to say that he's going to have to leave on our terms. And then they're going to, when they say their price tag is 120, 130 million pound, and he's already on an 8-year contract remaining. You know what I mean? How is that going to happen then?
You know what? Why do people believe that clubs can keep players against their will? Every club in the world fails to do that.
No, but you can try to force it around.
You know that lately there's only one player that stayed, right? One player, if that comes to mind, a big player with big name. It's Harry Kane. When Man City refused to pay the 150 million for Harry Kane, and then Levy said, "You're not leaving." And you remember Harry Kane didn't turn up to the training. That's down. Everyone else, right? Really, everyone else, they forced their way out.
Listen to this.
All these other guys all these other guys you're mentioning, Mo, have been on probably 3 years contracts.
I mean, it doesn't matter.
These guys, but Mo, this guy's on an 8 to 9 year contract, Mo.
But the amount
of money then you're gonna have to pay to break that contract, right? To be able to even get this player.
Every player has a different mentality. I remember when we had the Suarez situation, right? The FSG or the powers that be, or whatever, they made a gamble saying, look, the thing is, if we keep hold of Suarez when Arsenal made this £40 million and £1 bid, right? When he's on the pitch, he's a machine. He's going to go for it. He's going to have that motivation, and he's going to play his heart out. But not every player is like that. We don't know whether Cole Palmer, if he's forced to stay for another season against his will be playing his heart out. He might, and if that does, then maybe you can get the money, because we held on Suarez for that extra season. He skyrocketed even further, and then we got our 80, 90 million, whatever it was, 80 million, I think it was.
So
if Palmer drops, say for example, if someone comes in for Bayern Munich coming from this season, you turn the money down, you're saying, and then Palmer has a down season next season, you might only get 40, 50, 60 million because he's had that.
Let's look at it this way. Right? What Mo was saying is this: if Chelsea does not qualify for Champions League or any one of these things where they're supposed to be at, most of these good players will want to leave, right? Which means if you're not qualifying for Champions League, you're not making a lot of money. You have to balance your books as a club.
Yeah.
Good. So if I'm going to balance my books, I want to sell my best players at the best price that I can sell them at premium. I'm not letting them go for next to nothing because the player's head is turned, because it still doesn't balance my books as a club. You
could still sell some young players and recoup.
I know, but my point is, like, if I say like he's on an 8-year contract and I say my player is worth 130, and Real Madrid comes and says, but here's 70, and Palmer is like, I want to go, 70 is good enough, or here's 80, it's good enough. As a club, I don't make that profit. My books are still not balanced if I get my best player to leave. So you're going to stay, and I either get my money's worth out of you as an asset over the next few years, or you better play your heart out so that next year you're worth 200 and somebody's going to bring the 130 that I want, or the 140. It's either or as a club, because you have to think about it from the club's perspective as well. The player's head could be turned, but if that money doesn't make sense for the club who did not qualify.
I actually think player power in these days are just too strong, in my opinion, unless you can convince the player to stay. Just what I believe, to be honest. Let me do the super chat before we go on. PD saying, Mo, have some shame. Caicedo has 8 GA in 85 games. Declan Rice has 30 GA in 90 games. Add Rice work rate as well, and it's not even close. Caicedo's still good, though. I like Caicedo. Does anybody think that Declan Rice is better than Caicedo as the DM?
I feel like they're playing different roles, though. That's the difference. I just don't understand.
I don't think GA is necessarily the main barometer.
One is literally playing box to box in his position. Other one's literally being told to hold a spot and look after it, essentially. So
I agree. Jay is saying, Mo, people don't like you because it's because of your agenda attitude. That's why my point always go on over people's heads, but that's a different story, Jay. That's actually very true. Kingsley, big up my man for the super chat, saying the revisionism of Chelsea midfield is glorious. Carry on.
Kingsley, at the beginning of the season, everybody was like, Chelsea second. Oh, they're in the title race and they're going to win. And they have a better midfield than Liverpool and Arsenal. Arsenal is going to drop off the midfield. Is it Thomas Partey that is going to go against Caicedo? Here we are today trying to do revisionism. Oh, there's no Lavia in the midfield. We've not seen Lavia play. I don't like it when I hear Chelsea fans say that.
That's not true. We have seen Bradley play quite regularly in the beginning of the season.
When I say we have not seen Lavia,
in the last 4 months, they've not seen him play.
You know what I mean by when I say not seen Lavia play, you know what I mean. Ahmed, you know what I mean. I'm not going to rate Lavia over 7 games or 8 games. I'd be like, oh, guess what? If he comes back, because after every injury, you're not coming back at 100%, regardless of how good you are. You're going to come back and gradually get back in. And if you come and push yourself to 100%, just like he did the last time, you get injured and you're out again for another 3 months. So let's not do this revisionism, which is the truth. Like, Maresca is not good enough for you guys. It is what it is. You just need to accept it. You might have talented players, but that guy is going to ruin you.
Can we just say something, Dio? Can I just give you a fact, Dio?
Hold on, more before you. Let me just say this. Remember, I told you at the beginning of the season, Ahmed, you and I were on the stream when I said Enzo Maresca squandered a 20-point lead in the championship. A 20-point lead. where he could have automatically qualified till the end of the season, where he was just 1 point away from the second position. That's the guy that you guys have.
Yeah, I don't
Can I give you a fact,
necessarily
guys?
think we should read too much into
Lavia,
it. That does sound bad, and it's not. It is bad, but things don't always translate 100 for one. You know, like we'll see.
I know, but
we'll see. Listen, we'll see how Enzo Maresca does. To be honest,
man, dude.
What if Enzo Maresca tomorrow schools Mikel Arteta, Dio? What are you gonna say then?
Sorry?
What if,
oh shit!
What if he schools
if he schools
Mikel Arteta tomorrow?
If he schools Arteta, I'll own up and say he schooled. Look, I'm not.
We already know that Eddie Howe's better than Arteta. So
I'm not saying he's not. I'm not saying he's not. I'm not saying he's not. I mean, Eddie Howe has to be better than Arteta. He doesn't have an option. Arteta has spent 5 years as a senior coach. Eddie Howe had like 12, 13, 14 years experience. If he's not better, yeah, Eddie Howe does have more experience than Arteta. If he's not better, then what is he doing as a manager? Like, we're talking about Mikel Arteta, somebody who this is his first job at Arsenal. He's never coached any other team before this. He was an assistant to Pep. And what made you think he was the one that ran the show at City? No, Pep ran the show. So let's not play this. Like, for me, I know what I have as my manager. I got a newbie, I got a rookie manager, and I'm growing with him. And Chelsea are doing the same thing. But I'm just saying, based off of the fact that Maresca has coached in other places, and we've seen what he's done before, you can look at that and be like, "Ish, this guy, I've seen some of your old mistakes." Arteta, there was no mistakes to look at in the past. He was a newbie. He was a newbie that we just dropped in.
Hold on. Fucking Eddie Howe started coaching in 2006.
You didn't know that? Yeah, he started managing.
Yeah, Eddie Howe had more experience.
31 years old.
Oh my God.
31 years old.
Did you know that?
Or 36, 37, something like that.
Let me finish this. Let me do the super chat. Big up, guys, for the super chat. Big up, Kingsley. Plays is saying generational waffle this season. Chelsea midfield has been top 2, only behind Liverpool for offensive and defensive stats. Chances made, blocks, ethic. Arsenal clear us everywhere else. Why I have very hard time to when I'm watching the Blaze. The problem is, when I'm watching Chelsea, I don't see this. I swear I don't. I don't see this, Blaze. You can come with the stats and everything, Blaze, and you're a very rational. Listen, Blaze, you've been a viewer for a long time here, Don Hassan, and everywhere on Football Terrace. Why, when I'm watching Chelsea, I don't see this superiority by the Chelsea midfield? There has to be a reason why when we watch Chelsea, we're not blown by the Chelsea midfield. We're like, oh my God, it's amazing how they control the games. We see, and I said that.
Yes, you're blown away when you watch them.
Yeah, when I sorry, Blaze, when I watch Chelsea, most likely, especially in second halves, normally I see Chelsea's midfield being bypassed by Bournemouth, by Fulham.
A lot of that though.
Also,
about the second.
I want to hear this. Yes, I want to hear this. Yes, go ahead.
A lot of that the second half thing, is because I think because our midfield is playing consistently, game in, game out, not getting replaced because we don't have a good bench.
Great,
right? They're getting tired in the second half, which is true. I agree with you on that one.
Okay.
Also, the second half of the season. Sorry, go.
I want to add this point. Here is what the problem with sometimes my analysis. I give the analysis from what I've seen. There are reasons that they might be valid, like what Ahmed said. They might be tired, and at the end, right? The play, for example, let's say Isak missed 5 chances, for example, or Darwin Núñez missed 5 chances. Just to give an example. But someone comes in and say, "Oh yeah, by the way, he had a knock," and I'm like, "Great," but all I'm seeing is that he's missing the chances. All I'm seeing now is Chelsea's midfield in second halves not being great over the past 15 games. There are reasons for it, but at the end, this is the analysis. What we're seeing in front of us. I'm giving a remark. I took a note saying in the second half, Chelsea not good. There are reasons for it, Ahmed. That doesn't change the fact that Chelsea's midfield is not putting in the performances that we expected them to put in the beginning of the season. And I don't think I'm wrong to say that. The balance is not the greatest because Lavia is not there. Every time Lavia played, you looked good. Lavia doesn't play, the midfield is not balanced. Over 90 minutes. You might give me great 30 minutes, but then for the rest of the game, the other midfielders look better or look more fit or look more balanced. That is the whole point. Go ahead, Dra. Sorry.
I just want to mention that the first half of the season, I think Chelsea were playing better. When we look at this second half of the season, their form, I think, and not just the form, we can look at individual results, but I just don't think they're playing as coherently. And that's obviously kind of translated somewhat to the league table. They're still obviously there or thereabouts. But at the start of the season, for the first, 12 to 15 games, we're talking about them being, I know there was a lot of debate about them challenging or not challenging, and Chelsea were saying, a little horse and all this kind of stuff. But I think no one thought they would be. I think if you asked them to project forward where they'd be this point in the season, I think they would have said they would have been solidified top 2 or 3, especially with City's fall off.
Let me know. Blaze here is saying everything you expect a midfield to do, Chelsea tops with Liverpool. But when you look at our defense, then we are mid-table quality stats-wise, XG against us, and Sanchez. But Ahmed agree with me, right? Like, Blaze, you're defending.
I agree with what your thing about our midfield not being as good in the second half, but I gave my reason as to why that is. I think first halves we usually midfield's a lot more consistent, but as they get tired over time, it gets worse, which is true. I don't have to disagree with that. I think that's fair.
Yeah, Jay saying where your team is going wrong is playing Enzo with Palmer. That midfield is not balanced. Wallahi, Jay, it's exactly what I'm saying, and I've been saying this from the beginning of the season. It is either put Palmer on the wing or drop one. When Enzo play a long stretch of a game, he's always lose more than he wins. I'm not gonna say this, he lose more than he wins, but the team balance is not great. You're very suspect in transition still, and that puts a lot of pressure on Caicedo. And that is why Lavia, Caicedo, Palmer is more balanced than Lavia, than Caicedo, Enzo, Cole, Palmer, to be honest. Blaze is saying, so it is feeling, I feel Gallagher is clear of Odegaard.
Oh.
Okay, Blaze.
Shout out Gallagher there, man, for example.
Bro.
Yeah, I'm just looking at last 8 games. I'm just looking at the form table of last eight games. Chelsea at home actually in the top 3 for form at home in the last 8 games, But in the last 8 games away from home, they're like right near the bottom. They're like 16th. So there's also seems to be some kind of discrepancy between their home and away form.
Yeah, because it's
actually ironic because away from home
hold
used
on,
to be really good.
I think it's skewed a little bit. Right. It is. I'm not sure if I'm lagging a little bit. It is skewed a little bit because they played Southampton and Leicester the last 2 games at home and they got 6 points. So it's skewed a little bit. It is skewed a little bit. Right? It is skewed a little bit. Nabil here is saying midfield influences both defense and attack. Exactly, Nabil, but they don't want to hear it. But before we speak about Liverpool and Newcastle, from Arsenal's point of view, this game doesn't mean anything. A lot of people to Arsenal fans know that. Anybody?
It does to me. I don't know about them, but it does to me. I think I can't sit here and be like it doesn't mean anything when I have a Nottingham Forest who's 54 points and I'm 55. Yes, game in hand or not. Tomorrow I play my 29th game, just like they've already played. So if I lose, that means that they're literally 1 point behind me and just chasing me. Now, is that going to win me anything? No. But I'd rather be more stable in second position than trying to fight till the end of the season against the Nottingham Forest or Chelsea or anybody who's trying to catch up into top 4. I don't need that hassle. Like I might as well, so that way it's not a case of play your best players in the league and just keep struggling there while there's still Champions League to at least fight for. Give yourself a better chance in the Champions League with your best players and focus on that. That's where you probably have a chance to get anything, if any chance at all. So yeah, so it's
we're ruling out that Arsenal don't make top 5 at all. That is ruled out for us.
Oh yeah, Arsenal there. Yeah. Arsenal.
I think they should be making top 4. I mean, there's no.
But I think they have to play the games. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not ruling anything else. You have to play the games. You have to make the wins.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
I think part of everything, if you want to be in the league team, in my opinion, you have to be a team that's willing to compete on all 4 fronts all the time. I think what Arteta has slowly come to the realization of, you can't just say, I'm not playing, for instance, League Cup, or I'm not playing this 3rd round FA Cup. I'm going to focus on Premier League to this week, or I'm going to focus. you have to focus on everything, and you have to build a squad.
To be fair with him,
to
be fair to him this season, he played his strongest teams in
so
the.
That's what I'm saying. So that's what I'm saying. He's slowly coming to, so like going to like Mo's point in terms of if the game against Chelsea is important. It's important because not only is it you're playing Chelsea and for the league, but it's also important for your own momentum. So you don't want to be going into the Champions League game having lost or having a really dreary game against Chelsea. Like you want to be going on a good performance and taking it out to the Champions League game.
Yeah, so, a good run is always good. If you're winning, then you have momentum as well.
Yeah.
So it's always. I mean, people want to look at it based off just the table and whether or not it's going to get you closer to winning or not. Yes, that's one aspect. The other aspect is momentum, which is like if you start losing games now, by the time you face Madrid, your mentality is already shot. You can't lose to Chelsea, lose to 2 other teams, and then play Madrid April and be like, oh, I'm going to go in there and try and win. No. But the more you have that momentum of winning as a team, I think you stand a better chance. You're giving yourself a better mentality going into the games. And to be fair to Mikel Arteta this season, he did play his strongest teams in all the competitions, and we lost fair and square. You know, we got knocked out by. I mean, last season he was playing second team, third team, trying all kinds of nonsense, which I berated him for. I was like, I don't see why you're doing this. And this season he played his strongest team and it just didn't work out the way it's supposed to. So yeah.
I think you should obviously beat Man United. With Newcastle, I wouldn't take it as a loss. I'll take it as a lesson. But in terms of for Man United,
Newcastle game, I think
I'm poking.
Like, no, not even that. I'm being honest. I was here on the stream. Sorry, Mo, was I not here on the stream after the Newcastle? What did I say? I said Newcastle wanted every ball in that midfield. We could not do anything in that game.
Yeah.
I was screaming at my TV. That's the one game this season where God knows I almost broke a TV. Like that's the one game where I was like,
that's the Newcastle I need to turn up against Liverpool. That's the Newcastle I need to turn up against Liverpool.
I was livid. They would not, like, we did not stand a chance. We could not breathe. And I'm like, how is it that I'm like, we have legs in this midfield. What's going on here? They ran through us, you know. So you are right. That's a lesson that Arteta needs to learn. Physicality. These guys are big, and you have Bruno Guimaraes bullying you. Like this guy is running through you, Declan. Like you, all this size. What are you doing with it? You're 6'1". What is your 6'1" doing? Like, you know, tower over this guy. No, you can't. So you know, it is what it is when it comes to the cup tournament. I think that Mikel has learned a lesson. But this Chelsea game tomorrow, Arsenal needs it for the momentum. We need to win, and so that way we stay in second. We're just there. We know we're going to qualify for next year's Champions League, you know, and that momentum is very necessary. Losing now is going to actually affect us in anything else that we're doing. And you don't want to start losing towards the end of the season and carry that into the season. Last season, Arsenal played the last 18 games, won 16, drew 1, lost 1, right? And everybody talked about how that momentum was good for them. They took it into the preseason and they brought that form back into the beginning of the season, but they just couldn't carry it on. You need momentum to carry on. So I think a win tomorrow will do very well for the mentality of the players and momentum going forward.
Yeah, I agree. I think Arsenal are favorites tomorrow. They're playing at home. But I'm not ruling out Chelsea getting the result, to be honest. Guys, can we get to 200 likes? We have over 500 people here in the house, guys. Hit that like button. Guys, we need to get to 200 likes. Algorithms are now in our favor right now, so the like button will help the channel massively. Hit that like button. Also, all these guys' channels are in the description. Toon Tactics TV, The Bridge Nation, and of course, banter on the pitch for Dio. Of course, Liverpool, Newcastle. No Gordon. No. So what are the chances?
I think they said no Gallagher. I'm like, no Gallagher.
Sorry.
That's massive.
It's still Gordon's still serving the red card.
Yeah, even after this game, he's still got to serve for the next game against Brentford.
Anyway, okay, let me do this super chat before we go on.
Sir.
Irox is saying Enzo has more GA than Rice. He's among top creators in the league. Rice can't pass a ball if his life depends on it, unless it's a corner.
We can choose what metrics we wanna compete. We all know that if you do all the off-field stuff, breaking down tackles, tackling dribbles, progression. Declan Rice absolutely swipes Enzo off the field. So, like, it depends on what you want to compete on. We all know that you probably prefer Enzo Fernandez. Yeah, further up the field than you would want Declan Rice. For me, Declan Rice is more of a better 6, though he can work a little bit on his back to goal. So yeah, I wouldn't even. You probably need a Declan Rice in your midfield. You probably need a Declan Rice with a Caicedo or Enzo Fernandez type of player beside that. I think you got probably a little bit of a better balance in that. That's just my opinion on it.
Yeah. Ahmed, who would you choose, Enzo Fernandez and Declan Rice?
Well,
if you have one player to add to your team,
I'll still probably say Enzo Fernandez. I already got Caicedo, so for me, it's like big up to Rice. I think he's a good player, but I've already got Caicedo, so for me, I would say no.
All right then. Okay. Jay, big up Jay, saying I didn't say that I don't like you. If so, no. I wouldn't support you. I'm saying because your agenda attitude, so viewers get hot. That's why Philip got on you in his first show on the channel. Yeah. I know. The problem is every time I say something, people are like, oh, you have an agenda against this guy. Listen, I have an agenda against Chelsea's model. And I'm very clear about it. I said for the good of football, this model has to fail. The way Chelsea.
For the good of humanity, not just football.
I'm saying it's it's a life or death situation. Bloody hell.
But I'm gonna say this. That wanting that model to fail will never cloud my judgment of Chelsea. That is why, by the way, in the beginning of the season, on record, I actually chose Chelsea to finish in the top 4 as the 4th best team. Right? I chose Chelsea over a lot of other teams. And I still say that Chelsea will make top 5, actually, because they have the talent for it. By the way, despite Enzo Maresca, by the way, they're going to make top 5, despite Enzo Maresca. Even though I praised Enzo Maresca a lot in the beginning of the season, I think lately he has been doing some weird stuff. And we're not going to expand on it because we have spoken about it, me and Ahmed and Dayo, and a lot of times. I cannot have a team in 12 out of the last 15 games being second best on the pitch in the second half. Literally, second halves are called coaches' halves. And if you are really failing to get your team going in the second half, that is a massive problem for Chelsea. But it is what it is.
Yeah, and I just to say also,
But big up, Jay. Thank you so much for this.
Yeah, Jay, I would say that Mo's a treasure, and like any kind of content, and I mean that he had to be able to have that because you watch a lot of football, you develop your own philosophy for it, and that's why you saw that clash. I have my own philosophy, Mo has his own philosophy, and the fact we're able to coherently argue them is important. You get a lot of people talking football on different various hundreds of channels, but they don't take the time to watch different. You're going to get narratives and people saying the same thing. So the fact that we can have these two debates to the level that we have is because we watch a lot of football, we develop really strong personalities, and so I think that's a blessing in itself. So yeah, good to have you on though, Jay.
I appreciate you, Jay. The man from Uncle here is saying the streets don't call you Mojenda for nothing. Yeah.
Everything's at Mo today. We're talking about Chelsea, Arsenal. It's Mo's day today.
Big up my guy. Big up my man. Thank you so much. Who's favorites for Newcastle and Liverpool?
Oh, Liverpool, 100%.
Liverpool.
Okay. So Newcastle. So what about the percentages? Are we giving Newcastle no chance? Like people giving Arsenal no chance against Real Madrid?
No.
Why has Arsenal got no chance against Real Madrid?
Not me, Philip. I am one of the people that are fighting on Arsenal's side everywhere on the internet.
Wow.
I promise you this.
They can say, I've said this. I've said this before.
Rak has done a show with me after Champions League, and we've been fighting for people there is nothing called zero chance. People are saying Arsenal have zero chance. Bro.
You know what it is? Zero. It's 1%. It's 1% chance. 1% chance. 99% hope.
They said the same thing when we played them against the Galacticos. They said no chance. Arsenal gets through. Arsenal does never getting through, and it was the Galactico. We're talking about R9 and the greats, the Zidanes. We're not talking about Tchouaméni. I'm not saying he's not a great player, but he's no Zidane. Do you understand what I'm saying? So when that happened at that time, they said, and this was not that we lost. We played 0-0 at home and beat them in Spain. There's a big difference. So there's never a 0%. You don't have a chance. Again,
Philip, I swear, I gave them 20%. Dio was with me on a show. I give Arsenal 20%.
I want to say this more.
the chat said I am deluded. Just 20%.
I also want to say this.
Wow.
I see people in the commentary, but you had Henry. We had one player that was an amazing player, Henry. They had 4-5 game changers. Madrid had 4-5 game changers. So let's not do this. And in fact, they had if I'm not mistaken, I think that year they had Van Nistelrooy on the bench.
Yeah.
Like you have a Van Nistelrooy on your bench as your, like, if you needed more goals. So let's not do that nonsense.
I don't think Real Madrid are invincible. They're not invincible. Yeah. I think when we kind of talk about Real Madrid's heritage. Right now, no? I'm sorry, sir?
I was saying they're losing right now. They're playing right now.
Oh, yeah, no, I think it's 2-1.
Actually, it's 2-1 now. Sorry, last match.
Yeah, it's 2-1. It's 2-1. It's 2-1. It's 2-1. No, I think it's different to when we, like, if I were to, like, we're going to talk about Liverpool and Real Madrid. When we're talking about, like, chances, we know that, for instance, for Liverpool, we know defensively, offensively, midfield, incredible team, great squad. That's why it's going to be hard for Newcastle to beat them. Part of the reason why we're talking about Arsenal, Real Madrid isn't, we know that they've got talents and game changers, but we know that defensively they've got a makeshift back line. We know that sometimes over their goal there seems to be a hoodoo, that people keep on shooting and just can't seem to score. It's a bit different. And if you can just, I don't think, and they've got other things they focus on. The La Liga is very, very tight at the moment. I don't think Arsenal, it's incredible that people would say that Arsenal got absolutely no chance. I think they live in the past a little bit. I don't think that. I agree with Mo. 20%, maybe a little bit even more, possibly, in terms of what Arsenal can do against Real Madrid. But yeah,
like when a low-scoring sport like football, the best team, I'd say even frequently doesn't win, because all you need, you can have a shit game, score one goal, and win the game against a much more dominant team. You saw that with Liverpool. Statistically, we were more likely to lose 4-0 to Paris Saint-Germain in Paris than win 1-0. Right, but we got the goal at the right time. We had our goalkeeper playing out of his skin. We hung in the game. Obviously, ultimately, it didn't matter in terms of getting through. But it just shows that football can be a bit of a leveler if your players show up at the right time, or you have a good plan, or if everything comes together for you. The better team can still lose.
Then you bottle it at Anfield.
It's a non-zero chance. I'd say similar. I'd say it's probably going to be somewhere in around 20-25%.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
That's okay.
Absolutely.
I'd probably say 17.5%. But
let's go back to.
I think people are begging for Arsenal to lose.
I have a different perspective as well. I mean, I agree with a lot of things that people, not because I support Arsenal, but because I also look at, like, current momentum of a team and how they're playing, and I also look at head-to-head momentum, because that plays a factor in it. Like, when if the only time you've ever played a team in your entire life, all 3 times we've met Madrid, we've never lost to them. So I get it. We don't play them week in, week out, but every single time I've gone up against them, I've not lost to them. So every time I've watched Arsenal play Madrid over the years I've been watching football, we've always won or we've tied with them. So I'm like, you know what? Hey, that's a team that I know are better than us, but somehow we happen to be their voodoo at this point, as far as I'm concerned. Now, other teams that lose to them regularly, that have played them and have lost to them, might have PTSD. Like, oh, last time I played Madrid, they beat me. Liverpool might have it. A City might have it because they've lost to them. You know, I haven't. So until I lose to them, I don't have any PTSD. I respect them. I think they're a better team. I think they have a better chance of winning against us. But history tells me that I've never lost to them. Simple. So I will stick with what I know. No, you can laugh and smile at it. It's the truth.
No, I'm laughing at a comment that Dele Alli literally took him 8 minutes in Serie A to get a red card.
Yeah, I already got a red card. People love to check us. I'm watching the match on the side right now. Yeah.
Pocomo. Is it Pocomo? Yeah. How's that Asana Chow playing? Is he playing all right?
Not too bad, actually.
8 minutes, man, something like this. He literally just did it.
He did it on Ruben Loftus cheek. I was hands off.
He got a red card. Anyway, sorry, Dio. I apologize, Dio.
No.
Yeah, Fabregas got a red card too, by the way, as well. Fabregas got a red card as well.
What?
The manager.
Yeah. The manager
because of Dele Alli getting sent off. Because of Dele Alli
he got pissed off. He got pissed off, and then he red card.
I saw like a game that Fabregas, like his style of play is insane.
Yeah, he's very good, actually. He's very good.
He's good. I like what he's doing.
It's a weird setup though, because I watched one of the games where I love Fabregas. I was like, let me just go see what this guy is up to, and they almost played like a 2-7. Like the way they were set up, like it was such a highlight, and I was like, why is he? Anyways, yeah, that was just by the wayside. So yeah, so for me, like I look at those things as well. You know, this is why even when a United is not playing very well and we have to play them, for me that's a rivalry, and rivalries have it has its place in the game of football.
But you don't have rivalry with Real Madrid. Let's just
No,
put
no,
it
no,
this
no,
way.
Yeah, you have like a rivalry with like Chelsea, but I don't know if you have a rivalry with Real Madrid.
We're not
It's a one-way rivalry. It's a one-way rivalry.
Let's just clear that up. Let's just clear that up.
I am not insinuating again. Most don't do that. I am not insinuating a rivalry between Arsenal and Liverpool. So Arsenal and Madrid. What I'm saying is, even like with United when we played them, as bad as they were, there's a rivalry between us, and that has its place. Which is why I said, like for me, momentum has its place. A head-to-head result has its place. Like when I came to play Inter in the first in the club side of the Champions League, I was not afraid to go and play Inter because the last time I played you, I beat you 5-1. So for me, I said to myself, look, I don't have any PTSD against it. Like I went in there with that mentality that I should be able to get something. Fine, I didn't get anything out of it, but I wasn't going in scared. Now, do I rate Madrid as the best team in the world? Yes. Do I think they have the best players in the world right now? Yes. Do I think that they're going to beat us? Yes. But history tells me that even when they had the Galactico, they did not. So I'm not going in scared like, oh my God, I'm afraid of Madrid. No. What will be, will be. But every time I've gone against them, they've not been able to step up. So it is what it is. It is football. We've seen worse things happen. We've seen worse things happen.
It's not going to be worse. Like it's not going to be a bad thing. It's not going to be a bad thing, Dayo. I think you're so excited. I think he's too excited.
This is the Liverpool Newcastle bar.
And when I come back after we beat Madrid,
I don't.
No, beating Madrid is crazy.
You know Arsenal fans are. Arsenal fans are a bit like, you know what? If you come to a friend and you got a problem, you want to share it so you can like deal with it. You share the problem, but then they start talking about themselves about it. You're like, no. Can we talk about my problem? And we start talking about their problem.
I didn't think you more brought it up.
It's small sport.
I promise you guys, we have over 3 weeks to talk about Arsenal versus Real Madrid. I promise you, the compilations, the edits, the videos. This is gonna be crazy, and all of this, and then hopefully they do something because they will look so bad.
It'll be amazing.
But I'm gonna say something, guys. This is the last thing I'm gonna say about Arsenal. You cannot tell me that Arsenal have 0%, and then you come and banter them and say bottle job after they lose. Okay, we're not doing that. You literally can't do this, bro. You can't.
I agree.
See, Adrian here saying, when are we gonna talk about the tune now?
Big up Adrian. Big up Adrian.
Big up Adrian. Thank you, Adrian, for the super chat. Really appreciate you, my man. African Cat here saying you are not the players, Dayo, and your players have been known to crumble under pressure. African Cat, Thierry Henry said it. I'm just going to respond to this quickly. Thierry Henry said it. If these players don't believe, they'll never win. Yeah. They have to go to the game
100%.
believing that they can win the game, to be honest. They have to believe that they can win. Wake up, guys. The Toons and Liverpool. Newcastle. Give me what you want to see, Philip, in the game.
What I want to see from the team. Oh, yes. 100%. Well, exactly. We just came from a segue of talking about belief. 100% belief, which I think we will do. We will have. I want to see a great performance. I want to see us be able to almost like a similar attitude we had when we drew 3-3. And but also have a clever game in terms of what we're doing. Not just and I don't think we'll do this. I don't think we're going to be going like man for man, hammer and thong type of thing. But we're going to have intensity. We're going to have like a hybrid type of press. We're going to have to know when to defend. We know that especially if you watch the last 2 games against Liverpool, when we drew 3-3, but we're also 2-0. The majority of those goals, I'm sure Rack will agree, is that with either down the left side or down the right side, particularly down the left side, and the cutbacks, and it's like a number 8 that scores or Mo Salah that picks it up and stuff like that. Like it's almost predictable about how they can score. It's very hard to stop. To be able to deal with those defensive, but we have to be brave. Just like when we drew 3-3 with Liverpool, it was Bruno Gomes often, especially when we got the ball in an offensive way, taking the ball on, either going past the McAllister or I can't remember if it was Gravenberch at the time, and then turning around and we've got now 4 or 5 players on their back line, Isak, Tonali, Gordon, and essentially having those type of options offensively, and that's how we would score. So both teams have to be brave. I think the thing is, both teams have a very similar style of play in terms of how we do things. Obviously, Liverpool players and squad is a couple levels above, but we have a very similar style of play. So I want to see a good performance. I hear, and finally, I know that, and fans and everybody and people want to G up the team in terms of this is what it means, and it's been 70 years. I personally wouldn't want to encourage the team in that way. I think that the players know that it's important. I want them to believe they can win it. And that's different. I want them to believe they're good enough to win it. Newcastle, on the way to this final, have beaten Chelsea, have beaten Arsenal twice, have beaten Forest away, have beaten Brentford. We're more than deserved to be here. It's not by accident. It's not that a ball hit off somebody's backside and went off the crossbar and we've been like under the cosh all this time. Arsenal fans will tell you over the 2 games, we beat them home and away 2-0. They had their best players. We were deserved victors. We deserve to be in the final like we were in the last time. So act like we belong. Act like we belong, that this isn't our first day at Wembley. It was only a couple of years ago. And go and have your game. Go and show the best Newcastle, the best version of Newcastle. I want to be able to come back on the show with you, Mo, and Mo be able to say, that was an incredible game. I saw the best version of who Newcastle are. I saw the best version of who Liverpool were. And there's an incredible final. I want to be able to say that.
Yeah. We'll see. Listen, I'm not sure. Brack, you scared of Newcastle at all?
Newcastle have got weapons that I shouldn't take lightly. Obviously, Gordon's not there, but Isak, we've seen Isak has played really well against Liverpool, and he's played really well in this cup run. So if we switch off for a minute, he's capable of punishing us. So we can't be complacent about it. Yeah, we're the favourites, but we're not maybe arguably going into this game in the best of conditions. We've got a couple of players injured as well and stuff, but ultimately that's just like as Philip said, the Newcastle fans, Newcastle players, they can't take the weight of 70 years or whatever it is of history on their backs. Most of these guys weren't even alive, or none of them would have been alive, right? So they've got to go and play the game. We need to, regardless of what's gone before, we need to go out there, forget what happened midweek, and play our game. And if we play our game to our maximum, then I think we'll do enough to win the game. There's no givens though. Like if we go in and we're 80% there, 90% there, all it takes is for a ball to, second ball land in the box off a corner or something like that. Or a freak like the Newcastle's third goal at St James's Park is a bit of a kind of, I don't know, maybe freak is disrespectful, but it's not something you see very regularly.
You weren't expecting
and that's all it took for us to drop a couple of that's all it takes. And again, if we don't make mistakes like that or concede goals like that or don't score, then you have the potential longer term to go into a penalty shootout scenario, and we also know how that worked out for us midweek. So and it would have been a grueling game midweek. Playing for 120 minutes is not easy. So I wouldn't be surprised if the players are a little bit leggy, despite the fact they've got an extra day's rest. But of course, I should be confident because I've proved this season with the games that we've played against every level of opponent that in most scenarios we come out with a win or have the better of the other teams. So, but no, I'm not. I shouldn't. We shouldn't underestimate Newcastle at all.
No, I'm like in terms of the lineup for Newcastle. Do you play Willock on the left, Joelinton, Tonali, and Bruno Guimaraes in the middle?
Oh, great question. I think he'll be Barnes only because he played in the previous game. Yeah, really? I think he'll be Barnes. I think this is Barnes's trial period to find out if we're going to sell him on. I think we're selling him.
Does anybody know my take on Harvey Barnes like 2.5 years ago? 3 years ago.
Go on.
You're a big fan of his.
3 years ago, on record, I actually said that Harvey Barnes, that was before the Euros 2021, right? He got injured big time before the Euros and he was he left and someone else was added in. I said that Harvey Barnes deserved more to be in the England team than Marcus Rashford.
He was hot at the time. We know what Barnes is good at, especially when he gets the ball in the final third. Whether it's a deadly pass or in terms of his shooting, it can happen. Like you know that down that side it'd probably be Kwanzaa, right? It won't be Trent. Would it be Kwanzaa on the right side?
It'd be Kwanzaa, yeah. I imagine so.
If Kwanzaa, obviously, how old is he? 19, 20 years old?
No, he's old. Kwanzaa's old.
21,
Kwanzaa's
21,
21,
22.
21 years old.
Something like that.
It's not impossible. Ball comes directly into Barnes, 1-on-1 with Kwanzaa. Kwanzaa gets too tight. Barnes turns him on his right hand, and then boom, top court. Like that's just what Barnes. If you get Barnes in those type of situations, there's a high possibility that it could go in. So, yeah, I think it'll probably be Barnes. He played against West Ham, so I think that's what would happen. So I think it would be across the front three: Barnes, Isak, Murphy. Midfield strong: Bruno, Tonali, Joe Linton. Left back will be Livramento. Then it's Byrne. Then it's Shaw. Then it's Trippier.
Botman is out, right? Botman is out.
Botman's out for the season. Lewis Hall's out for the season.
Botman's out for the season again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you need to move on.
I think there's the vulnerability for us that I'd like us to target is Trippier. I think he has had decent games this season, but I think he's been quite erratic, and there's a possibility of exploiting that. And I think Livramento is a talented young player, obviously for Chelsea Cobham graduate and all that. But I don't know how many, if he's had a proper run of games. And you know, we have a good front three that I'd hope would, and then centrally. I think obviously in terms of man mountings, those guys they're dominant, aerially dominant. But if we can get our kind of more mobile forwards around them, let's see
if they can shut down Salah, is that the whole offense done for Liverpool in this game, as you have seen in PSG?
I don't think so. I think Gakpo this season has been very good. He's still coming back from his injury, so I don't know how effective he's going to be. He wasn't effective against PSG, to be absolutely honest. But maybe, you know, it's been 4 or 5 days since then. The question is whether we go with. I'm not starting Darwin Núñez, but the question is whether we go with
Jota seems out
or we. Yeah, so the question is whether we go with him or we play maybe Diaz as a false line and start Gakpo. I can see why the latter would be the option. So yeah, maybe I would go with Luis Diaz up front.
Luis Diaz up front.
Yeah, as a false nine.
I'm not sure that can hurt Newcastle, to be honest. I'm not sure.
Again,
but Dan Burn, as much as I love Dan Burn, he is a little bit slow. So if you play Darwin Núñez, that might cause trouble. But we know that Newcastle are not going to play on the front foot. I remember the Man United game when Newcastle actually battered Man United for the first 20 minutes. They battered Man United, bro. Like in every single aspect of that game, Newcastle were worthy winners, and then came that free kick from Bruno Fernandes and just lapse of concentration, Casemiro, and then the game was over from then. I think that is the problem with Newcastle. But if Newcastle defend well like they did against Arsenal, and they take their chances, Isak have already schooled Virgil van Dijk this season, right? So he can do it again. And Alexander Isak is the player now that everyone is scared of. Jacob Murphy, people are sleeping on Jacob Murphy. He has had 11 assists this season already. Some kind of double-digit assist on that right side. He's miles better than Sancho. Miles. No, but seriously, both have played a lot of games.
Yeah.
Genuinely, maybe Sancho, because Jacob Murphy on the eye look like the guys are all over the place. I know how it looks, right? But in terms of output this season, the guys have 16 GA or something like this.
Yeah, getting up there. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, something like this. So the guy is definitely, yes, he's not as talented as Adrian Sancho in terms of nutmegs and step-overs, yes. He's not ball control, he's not. But he's so effective for Newcastle. He's super effective for Newcastle, Jacob Murphy. People sleep on him all the time.
If you nullify, I just want to say for Liverpool, if Newcastle actually do nullify Mo Salah, I think that you guys are going to struggle a little bit. And I'm not saying it from a place of like, oh, Mo Salah is the only goal scorer that you have. But when you look at the stats of what Mo has brought to the table this season, Mo Salah, I think he's right now he's at 44 GA, right? Goals and contributions.
In the league only. That is only in the league.
I know, but I'm saying he's at 44 GA in the league. Liverpool has scored 69. So take away 44 from 69. His goals and contribution, 17 assists, 20 something goals. So my point is, I'm just saying, like, I'm saying that is one big threat that nullified would then have to make Liverpool find another way to try to score. Which then changes, like, the dynamics of the game. Newcastle, if they rock up against you like they rocked up against Arsenal, the way they ragdolled us, if they rock up with you guys that way, I feel bad. I don't think Liverpool stands a chance in that midfield if they rock up the way they rocked up against Arsenal, because they literally ragdolled us. I don't see Gravenberg and Szoboszlai. Bruno is going to elbow somebody in the back. That's a guarantee, and he's not going to get a red card for it. He's going to be a problem, and you have to look at that Newcastle midfield and be like, yeah, you just have to. That I have a bigger respect for them in their midfield. Alexander Isak, we know what he brings to the table. We already know this. So let's not even act like, and that's the thing. If you nullify Isak as well, you nullify a big threat of Liverpool. The same way if they nullify, Mo Salah, they nullify a big threat for you guys. It's personally, if I go by feeling, I just want Newcastle to win this. Because you've already won the league, so you can take your league and go away with it. Allow somebody else take another trophy. I don't need anybody having a double this season if I'm not winning anything. Like, I don't need that.
You know what I said. Actually, when we were playing the semi-finals, okay, take Liverpool out. Of course, I want Liverpool to go through, but I would have really liked to see a Spurs Newcastle final. That would have been so much fun. As a neutral me, that would have been so great, because obviously two teams who haven't won for a long time. They've got vociferous fan bases. I think a lot of neutral people would tune in to watch that game. Just to see what happens. The curiosity factor would have been amazing. I would have liked to see that.
Spurs Newcastle would have been a good final, and I'll still want Newcastle to win because I don't want Spurs.
Yeah, of course. No, but we know that. But like for me, if I wasn't involved and I'd never dog in that fight, I don't know who I would have wanted to win, but I would have tuned in just to see how that goes, because it would have been really interesting.
The only person I don't want Newcastle to win against if they were in the final would have been Arsenal. That's it. Everybody else, please, just Newcastle any day. I don't want Liverpool to take it. I don't even want Manchester United. I don't want to see City smelling it. Tottenham, forget it. Chelsea, that noise about London is blue, they can go and paint.
See the hatred that Arsenal have for all these other teams. You see this bitterness. This is why we've fallen out. We used to be friends, We used to be friends.
No. I have seen
again. They've degraded us at every possible step. They've tried to take away our denigrate our title victory, our pending title victory. And this is why we've turned on you. This is why we're best of enemies now.
I don't have anything against Liverpool, but what I've said is you've already won one trophy. Let Newcastle win one too. Let's spread the trophies this season.
Actually, but hold on, but I think if Newcastle win the Carabao Cup, there is no chance that Isak will go to Arsenal now. Because now he'll smell trophies with Newcastle. Why would he go to Arsenal in the summer?
True.
See, you might want Liverpool to win so you can actually get near.
Isak's not the only striker in the world. Just to let people know, there are rather.
I hear you. I hear you on that. Isak could be like, I smell trophies at Liverpool. I'm going to go to Liverpool. Then he should go to Liverpool. I don't want any player who doesn't want to play for my team. As much as I rate you, if you don't want to come play for Arsenal, please go somewhere else. I would rather have a player that wants to play for me, is good enough, and is ready to die on that pitch. I don't want you coming to my club and saying, well, just because of the money or whatever. I'm not interested in that. That's why certain players that people are linked to, when Arsenal is linked to players, if that player is not interested, I'm just like, hey, it is what it is. Sadly, we don't have enough clout for Isak. It is what it is.
You know what? Still some people still believe that Isak will go to Arsenal. And I'm like, every time I fucking see a video like this, this is fucking hilarious.
The only reason they're saying that is because he's on our team. If every club has who they want as their number one, so if you put it on your list, it's on your list. People are going to talk about it.
You are more rational when you say yes. Like as David Ornstein. The problem is, to be honest with you guys, that journalists and the big accounts are not helping Arsenal fans. David Ornstein was on NBC, so he was having an interview with NBC in America. And then he was telling them, that Alexander Isak is a big piece this summer. Like people are looking at him. And then he knows what he's doing. And he said, we know that Mikel Arteta has been a big admirer and he's on top of their list. And he said, and then he adds, he's also on Liverpool's radar, on Chelsea's radar. And you can tell what the guy is doing. You can tell what he's doing.
Spread betting.
You know what he's doing, bro. He started by saying,
he is right though, because we did try to go for Isak before he went to Newcastle. So you have to understand that. You have to understand that the journal is saying, oh, he's a big admirer. Yes, you've been chasing him for a while before he went to Newcastle.
He's not that big.
Yeah, no, I'm saying like that means that he was like you've always been a fan of the player because you
not
went
70 million. He preferred to pay 70 million for Kai Havertz than he did for Isak.
That's what I'm saying. Again, you know, we can sit here and say Mikel Arteta preferred to pay. Mikel Arteta did not prefer to pay. You have to talk about the people who made those choices. So I'll give you a good example. Again, there's a list of players, and the way it works, and I know you know this more than anybody else. Like the way it works is the manager has his preferences, but he doesn't have the final say. He doesn't.
Yes, exactly. But can I tell you something?
No.
Jack, I want to add something. Jack, I want to add something. Please, I want to add. Wallahi, I'm going to let you talk. You know, Inzaghi tomorrow, they want to sign a striker, right? You know, Inzaghi at Inter. You know, in the list, you know, Isak is number 1. You know, Thiago Motta, Juventus, Isak is number 1. You know, Barcelona, for the replacement of Lewandowski, you know, Isak is number 1. You know, Arne Slot wants to replace Darwin Núñez. You know who's number 1?
Isak.
Also, Isak is number 1. But David Rothstein didn't say all of these names. He mentioned one name only in the interview. Mikel Arteta and Arsenal. That is the problem, Dio. And the problem is...
Well, that's the journalist's problem. That's not Mikel's problem. Mikel did not say...
Your recruitment team won't buy a player if Mikel Arteta doesn't want him.
No, I'm saying that again, Rax. What I said,
so he has the final say in that regard. Same as Klopp.
He has the final say.
I have the first word and the last word. They're not going to bring in a player who Jurgen Klopp didn't want. Just like they won't bring in a player that Arne Slot doesn't want. Because ultimately, then you're gambling. You're putting a 70 million asset in the hands of one person who picks the team, who's not interested in playing him.
Rax, I'm talking about the financial aspect of things. So, for example, here's what I'm saying: Mikel Arteta has a list of players that he wants.
Yes.
So these people are the ones going to go negotiate the deal. Arteta is not negotiating business and signing checks.
Yeah, right? I agree with that.
So my point is, the people who finally go and do this deal with Isak's agents and say, hey, we want Isak, but we are not willing to pay 70 at the club. That's on the club. The manager has told you, I want this person. He's on my list. Now you go do that same deal with Chelsea, and you're willing as a club to pay 70 million just because Mikel Arteta had him on the list for Kai Havertz, but you're not willing to do the same for another player that he has on his list. It's the negotiators that I have a problem with. Like, as a manager, you know what you want.
It's not. You can't really blame the negotiators either, because ultimately the club will decide a maximum value they're willing to pay for a player. Right?
Agreed.
Obviously, Arsenal felt that Isak at that point was worth less than what Newcastle felt he was worth, and therefore Newcastle. They didn't quite outbid him because he went for Kai Havertz an alternative.
There's a release clause.
Yeah. So it's about the maximum valuation that your club is willing to pay.
So that was what it was. Isak was a release clause, right? I think it was 70 million, and it was a release clause from Sociedad. And that's the thing with release clauses in Arsenal. If you look at the way they've always done business, release clause, you have to pay everything up front. We didn't want to pay 70 million up front. I'm sure they're willing to pay in some sort of installment.
Yeah, but you can though, because you can always borrow that money from another institution and pay that money and then pay them.
Billionaire Rack is talking. Billionaire Rack is talking. You gotta listen.
That would have been the ideal I hear. But I'm saying I know how my club operates when it comes to paying out for, like, I mean, I think what's his name? Thomas Partey was the last release clause that we did for 45 million. Like, Arsenal does not do release clauses like that. We've not been the club that has been that guy that just goes and does, like, we like to find a structured payment. And the fact that we did Declan Rice for 105, I knew that when that deal went out, like, I can guarantee you, if you go look into the books, they probably paid maybe 40 million up front and are paying some stupid nonsense every year. That's how Arsenal is. I know the club that I support. I know the owners that I have. So my thing is, I as a manager, if the manager says, I want Gyökeres, or I want Isak, I want these guys, and then the club goes and starts faffing around on the negotiation table and that player goes somewhere else, I'm not going to put it on the manager's head. because he's not the one signing the checks. He's not the one sitting at the table. The manager's picked up the phone, spoken to Isak. Isak is like, I like you. I'll come play for you. Now, club, go ahead and get it done. Then you go there and say, well, we don't want to pay 70 million.
It's a fair point. That's a fair point. Why we started talking about Arsenal again?
Because Isak, we spoke about Isak in the biggest.
That was Mo's fault. That one was Mo's fault. That was Mo's fault.
African Cat said, keep hating teams who don't dream about you. That's why in 20 years you have nothing to show for. That was for Arsenal.
Was that for Arsenal? Okay.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Of course, it's for Arsenal.
Which team
I don't know.
Outside,
I just wanted to say that.
Outside Liverpool and Manchester United, every other team that I've hated on has had 20 years, 4 tournaments every year, 80 competitions to catch up to the number of trophies I have. They still haven't caught up yet. So African Cat, carry on. I know you're a Liverpool fan.
He is a Liverpool fan.
Yeah, so I'll give it to you. I said outside Liverpool and Manchester United, but every other person I've hated on has had 20 years, 4 tournaments every year. That's 80 trophies to catch up, and they still haven't caught up. So yes,
no, I just want to say that Saka is also on our list for right wing forward.
Right winger for Jacob Murphy. I know this for a while.
Hey, if you bring 150, I'll sell him to you.
You know what? Eddie Howe is an admirer of Bukayo Saka on the right 100%. Side, and he's looking to absolutely strengthen that right side.
Isak Gordon. Sheesh.
Okay, let me do this because we have to. Lol, you imagine saying you only want players to die for you? This is pro sport. If you go with that mentality, you'll never get a top target, and you always get outbid.
Blaze, again, when I say I want players that want to play for my club and die for my club, that is a tongue-in-cheek explanation. Like, I want players who want to play for the club. Not to come and crucify themselves on the cross of Calvary in the middle of the pitch and die upside down and blood everywhere. Ain't nobody talking about that nonsense. I'm saying I want players who literally are saying, hey, because if you go for a player, no matter how good they are, that doesn't want to play for the team, they just won't perform. We've seen players do this many times. So what's the point of having them on the team?
Okay, let me ask Philip a question then before we end the show.
Yes, sir.
So if Isak, if you don't make Champions League and Isak wants to go,
we're going again. We're going back to
no, but I was gonna ask this to Arthur for Saliba.
Okay.
I asked this for the Arthur for Saliba. You know why I'm asking this? Because everyone is saying the club controls the money. If Isak wants to go, would the club let him go?
So give me that scenario again, please. Give me that scenario again.
If you don't make Champions League and Liverpool, for example, or Barcelona, or someone comes in with 120 million, would Newcastle let him go?
Well, because of the, are you saying that because of the money, or because
of his I don't know the money situation in Newcastle. As far as I know, by the way, the money in Newcastle is sorted.
Yeah,
you don't have to sell any player.
Yes,
it's done. You don't have to sell any player. But if Isak wants to go, would you let him go?
It would have to be. So I would want the club to do it in the way that suits the club, Mo. So say for instance he wants to go, right? We would have a release clause. One release clause would be for 150 million. That's for clubs that want to buy Isak in the Premier League. The other release clause would be for 100 million for clubs outside of the Premier League. So if you're Barcelona, Bayern Munich, if he's like banging on doors, scratching walls, this, that, and the other, which I don't think he will be this season, to be honest. But if he's doing that, then I think that's the kind of thing that's the kind of clause. That's what Newcastle did with Bruno Gomes, by the way. So they had him on 100 million this summer, and City thought they were too good for that. And imagine if Bruno was playing there now. So I think that would be what I would want my club to do. And even if we didn't make that and he didn't want to sign a contract, I want my club to still stand firm. We still got 3 years left and to hold him essentially. And so that'll be my deal for him. We still need him for another year.
You're like me. I think player power is very strong, but also like for me, like if you want to go, at least we have to find a compensation.
Yeah, 100%. He has to work.
So the question is for you before I do the super chat. If Saliba wants to go to Real Madrid, you don't want him at your club. You just want him out.
Not that I don't want him at my club.
You want players to only die for the badge.
No. Here's what I'm saying. If Saliba wants to leave and he's scratching walls in the locker room, he's bringing up an attitude. That player, he's not passing the ball. He's doing all kinds of crazy things. Like, what's the point of having somebody who's going to? You're not winning already. Then he's going to detrimentally affect the rest of the team in the locker room just because he wants to leave. Why make it worse? If they bring the right amount of money, I would love for you to stay, but good riddance to bad rubbish. It's like if I run a business and there's somebody in my company that has a bad attitude, but is my best salesperson, but it's costing me consistently having to face HR, go to the court, defend the company, just because, look, dude, I don't need that extra stress because you're that good. I get it. There'll be, you're not going to be the only talented player the world will see. There'll be other people. So my 100%. Thing, if he's professional about it and says, I want to leave, and we're like, oh, we don't want you to leave. Okay, we'll increase your salary. They're offering money. I want to leave. If
he said he wants to stay. He said he's happy.
I'm even just saying, like, even if he wants, my thing is, if you want to leave and you're professional about it, and the money is not right, and you're okay to say, okay, you know what, I don't mind. I'll stay until you guys get the right amount of money for me. After all, you've increased my salary. Yeah, I'll be happy to let you stay. But if you're tearing things apart, what's the point of having you there? You know,
even in that scenario, I would say that if you're the buying club, whether it's Isak or anybody, and you see the player kicking up a fuss in that sort of way, you have to think to yourself, this could be us in a year's time.
Yeah.
So
this player acting that way over there, this could be us here. You know. So
bro. Your players do the same. Focus on other teams. Assume you are successfully in life. Do you care about how well others are doing, or do you focus on yourself? Why should football be any different?
Your players do the same. Focus on other teams. How do you know my players focus on other teams? Are you in the locker room? I'm asking African card. Like, are you in the locker room with them? Do you have conversations with Saka and everybody? They tell you that they're focused on other teams. Like, you're being presumptuous here, saying that Arsenal players focus on other teams. Every interview that you have seen outside of every Arsenal player, what did they say? It's game by game. We're looking at the next game, but focused on ourselves, and we're just going to keep carrying on. You've never heard any Arsenal player say, oh, look at what Mo Salah is doing. Look at what Liverpool is doing. Look at what this person is doing. You've never heard it. So you're just basically making up stories on that aspect of your question. You assume I'm successful in life. Well, hey, assumptions can be assumptions.
Very successful. Alhamdulillah.
Yeah,
Alhamdulillah.
Don't make assumptions in life, because if you do, you make an ass out of you and me. You know, make sure you get the fact right before you make assumptions. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, big up, guys. Listen, last thing, predictions. Everyone, anyone want to do predictions, or you guys don't want to do predictions?
Yeah, let's do it. I'm available to do it.
Newcastle 2-0, please, Newcastle.
There are predictions, there are hopes. I always do that.
Newcastle 2-1. Newcastle 2-1.
Philip?
Yeah, I think Newcastle will win 2-1. It'll be extra time. We're supposed to play 5 minutes extra. We'll play 2 minutes over instead, and Bruno scores the goal. Rack knows what I'm heading to with that one. So I'm believing for a controversial victory for Newcastle United.
Yeah, I don't mind whether it was controversial or not, but obviously I want Liverpool to win. I'm going to say 2-0 Liverpool.
I don't think this is going to end in a 90 minutes. I think it'll be extra time in it. I don't know who's going to win.
Honestly, extra time is bad for Liverpool. So I will say that. I think we struggled in extra time against PSG. And obviously that was the last game. So having 2 back-to-back extra times is not ideal.
Penalties could be worse.
But having said that, Virgil stepped up last season extra time and did the business as well.
For Arsenal and Chelsea, I have this bad feeling that Chelsea will just do something different.
You think so?
Yeah, I don't know why. I think Arsenal players are not going to be focused on this game at all. Like, I don't know. It's my thing. Like, I don't know why the players are already they already switched off from the season, the Premier League.
How do you know this? Are you in the locker room?
Are you in the dressing room? Are you in the dressing room with African Cat? You and African Cat together in the dressing room, huh?
Yeah, you and African Cat and Mikel Arteta in the same group chat. You guys have and like, oh man, or what? The Saka text you and say that, or say like, Saliba told me he's tired of the season already. Like, I mean, what are we doing here? Like, we're not going to sit here and just be like, oh yeah, well, just because it is what it is. Liverpool has a wide margin, but it will be stupid of any professional in their job, right, to say, I'm switching off right now when a Nottingham Forest can catch up to you, push you to third, and then put you in a precarious position where you then have to be competing with the Chelseas and City again to stay in that fourth position. It'll be stupid. Like, if they don't take it seriously and know that it's their job, then they shouldn't be playing for the club. And I don't think that these boys that I see are unprofessional. They are professionals. So this idea that we want to paint a picture that,
even professionals turn off. Even professionals turn off when they're not playing for anything. I don't think Arsenal players are playing for anything. it was shown in the first game. I saw it in the Man United game. So that is my evidence that the two games in the Premier League that I didn't think that Arsenal would close the gap on Liverpool, and Liverpool won games that nobody expected them to win.
Yeah,
Arsenal really played. Okay, Arsenal players looked like Arsenal players looked very not interested.
You conveniently want
in opposite. I need to finish my sentence.
No.
Can I finish my sentence? I need to finish.
Because
finish my sentence.
I'm not going to let
I need to finish my sentence.
We're not doing this sentence. This sentence ends here. Yeah, you want to build an agenda that is not agenda.
It is not. It is not.
Not the agenda.
Everyone
The proof
said
will be in
that
the pudding.
Arsenal.
The proof will be in the pudding. The proof will be in the
We'll
pudding.
see. We'll see if Arsenal. It's a London derby still.
If Arsenal
But
win 4-0, then
Bro,
that's it.
I'm going to tell you the guys the difference. The reason why, between the two games that they played the PSV game, and the performances and the energy and the enthusiasm and the spark on the team looked completely different than the games that they were in the league. That is my evidence there. And I believe this game will be like, yeah, same. Arsenal might play. They might win. I'm not ruling them out from winning. I said they're favorites. But from what I've seen, I think Arsenal players are playing for nothing, basically. The majority of the Arsenal fans I speak with on panels, they said that we're playing for nothing in this game, basically. Only for pride in London. So, and that is not enough to actually go on and win the game. But anyway, big up everybody that joined us.
Can I make a prediction?
Yes.
I think Arsenal will dominate the majority of the game. I think the reason why Arsenal aren't great at the moment is their lack of attacking quality.
Yeah.
But with Martinelli, I mean, he's been questionable, but I think they'll do enough to win the game. And but Chelsea are in really bad form, especially away from home.
Yes.
So I'm going to say Arsenal win 2-0. I just don't see Chelsea having the balls to stick in the fight at the moment.
Yeah, we'll see. Anyway, all I have to say is that in the same chat,
Arsenal won Chelsea 0. That's it. 1-0 to the Arsenal.
In the same chat today on the show, I've been called a Chelsea hater, an Arsenal hater, a Liverpool fan, and I hate everyone. So it's absolutely
You're an Inter lover, so you're a hater of everybody else.
Yes, anyway. Big up everybody that is here. Tomorrow I'm doing a watch along for Inter versus Atalanta. It's a game that if Inter lose, we go third actually in the league. It's a massive game. It's a 7:45 UK time right after the cup games.
I will see guys. The Cup. The TV is no.
It's way after. Actually, it's way after. I think the game is at 4:30. That game is at 7:45.
Yeah.
Right after, yeah. It's when Man United play Leicester City, which is kind of the league fucked up.
Anyhow, more people tune in for that game, bro. We're gonna have to have a conversation.
We'll see, yeah, bro. We'll see. It's the Premier League, But listen, Toon Tactics in the description, banter on the pitch, and the Bridge Nation, of course. I will see you guys later, and this will take you to Saad. So stay here, and we'll see you guys soon.